When a billionaire told his maid's daughter to play the piano just for fun, the whole room expected a joke. But seconds later, the entire mansion froze in shock because they had just discovered a musical prodigy hiding in plain sight. In the heart of Beverly Hills, where money flowed like water and egos reached the sky, lived billionaire Charles Whitmore. He was a man who built his empire through software and startups, rising from a modest background to unimaginable wealth. But with success came arrogance, and Charles had long since forgotten what humility looked like. His mansion was grand. Polished marble floors, imported chandeliers, and luxury furniture in every room. Servants moved like shadows, silent, efficient, and invisible. One of them was Angela Monroe, his housemaid. She had been working for the Whitmore estate for over 7 years. Quiet, reliable, and always professional, Angela had one priority in life: her daughter, Zaria. Zaria was 14. Smart, shy, and intensely curious. She spent most of her time in books or listening to music. What set her apart wasn't visible at first glance. It wasn't her clothes or her speech or even her smile. It was what happened when her fingers touched piano keys. Zaria had never taken formal lessons. Her mother could never afford it. What she had was a second-hand keyboard, half the keys sticking, the sound tinny. But in Zaria's hands, even that broken instrument sounded like magic. She'd listen to classical pieces online, then play them back by ear, note for note, emotion for emotion. No one taught her. No one had to point. One evening, Charles hosted a high-profile charity gala at his estate. Angela was working overtime, preparing food and overseeing the cleaning staff. Zaria tagged along because she had no one to stay with. She sat quietly in the kitchen, sketching on an old notepad, staying out of everyone's way. Charles's daughter, Madeleine, was sulking. She had begged her father to let her play something on the grand piano in the main hall during the event, but Charles had brushed her off, saying the piano was not a toy and the guests didn't have time to hear a child mess around on it. As he entered the kitchen, still adjusting his cufflinks, he spotted Zaria. She looked up from her notepad, surprised to see him standing over her. "You," he said. "You look about Maddie's age. Do you play piano?" Zaria nodded, hesitantly. "Yes, sir. A little." Charles chuckled. "A little, huh? What does that mean?" Angela froze, unsure of what was happening. "Sir, she's just," he waved his hand. "Relax, Angela. I'm not making fun. Just a bit of fun. Let's give your daughter a little spotlight." Some of the guests followed him in curiosity. It wasn't every day you saw a maid's daughter invited to play in a billionaire's living room. Zaria walked nervously to the grand piano. It was unlike anything she had ever seen. The Steinway gleamed under the chandelier lights. She sat on the bench and took a deep breath. Her fingers hovered over the keys. Then she played. The first notes were soft, gentle. Then they grew, fuller, deeper, rich with emotion. She wasn't just playing a song. She was speaking through the music, telling a story. Her fingers danced over the keys like they had a life of their own. The room fell completely silent. The laughter stopped. Conversations ended mid-sentence. Wine glasses were left untouched. Even Charles, who expected a clumsy performance, leaned forward, stunned by the time she finished. No one moved. For a few seconds, it was as if time itself had paused. Then came the applause. It started with one person, then another, and suddenly the room exploded in cheers. Some guests had tears in their eyes. A well-known composer in the audience said aloud, "That wasn't talent. That was genius." Charles walked up to her, eyes wide. Where did you learn to play like that?" Zaria, her hands still trembling, replied, "I taught myself. We don't have a piano, so I use a small keyboard at home." Angela, holding back tears, added softly, "She listens to music on YouTube and practices for hours." The composer stepped forward. "She has perfect pitch. That's a rare gift. She's not just good, she's born for this." That moment changed everything. By the following week, Zaria was receiving calls. A foundation offered her a full scholarship to one of the best music schools in California. A talk show invited her for an interview. A children's orchestra asked her to perform as a guest soloist. She became a symbol of unexpected brilliance. A reminder that talent doesn't come from wealth or fame. It comes from within. Her first public performance was broadcast live. The hall was packed. When she took the stage, she wore a simple black dress and a tiny necklace her mom had given her when she was 10. She closed her eyes, took a breath, and played her heart out. People listened, not because she was famous, not because of the headlines, but because her music had a soul. Over the next year, Zaria's name spread. She performed in major cities. Critics called her the next great pianist of the generation. But through it all, she stayed grounded. She always brought her mom with her. In every interview, she said, "I'm here because my mom believed in me, even when no one else noticed." One day, months after her first performance, Charles called Angela and Zaria back to the mansion. They were hesitant but agreed. He stood in the very same room where it all began. No tuxedo, no audience, just Charles, Zaria, and Angela. He looked them in the eyes and said, "I judged you unfairly. I made a comment that could have embarrassed you, but instead, you showed me something I'll never forget. I'm sorry." Zaria simply smiled. "Thank you for giving me that one moment to be heard." Charles later donated $1 million to launch a national program to support musical prodigies from low-income families. The program was named the Zaria Initiative, and so, the girl who once played on a broken keyboard in a tiny apartment became a national inspiration. She wasn't just a pianist, she was a movement, not because she had money, not because she had power, but because she had a gift, and when the world finally listened, she changed it, one note at a time.